Hello there, Dan the Weatherman here. Hey, welcome to my weather show. This is the New Zealand edition, taking a look at the weather for New Zealand for the coming week. It's an interesting week. We're looking at low pressure that's fading away from much of the west, but with that as well, there's a lot of warm air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. That's more or less slowing the low down. So in a nutshell, there's a lot of rain to western areas. You can see the lumps of cloud that are coming in. Also further north, stuff going on in the western parts of the Pacific, and very much colder as well to the far north. But let's get into it as far as we're concerned. You can see, first off, big area of low pressure, big lump of cloud there. And I put the streamlines on. That's a big, broad, upper level trough. Another lump of cloud there. That's an area of low pressure with a cut-off low in the tropics there, just to the east of New Caledonia. That's all the stuff that's been coming in. It's brought a good dump of rain to the western parts of the South Island. That will churn through, but there's more or less very warm air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere sitting here, and you think, oh, yeah, what does that do? It's slowing all of this down. It can't just come through. It's just piecemeal bits. So that's why it's been going to the far south and the west coast of the South Island. At the same time, as it does so, it just takes its time. When I say warm, I mean orange, I mean red. That is warm. So think of that as a big mountain of air. You can't bring your weather system through like that. It's just got to... That's why it's been piling into the west of the South Island. This week, it will do the same. And watch what happens. That lump of very warm air is just sitting there. It's just building out of Australia. That will also affect potentially what is going to be the cyclone season. We'll see how things go with that. Watch what happens with this through the course of the week. So first off, this is another way to look at it. There's the area of low pressure. Blue is energy, squeezing out the rain. The red is chilled out. That is the very warm air. The red is, watch what happens. So the low, the upper low as we call it, that will churn towards the country going through the course of the week. But that big blob of warmth, that big blob of red, they'll just sit there and gang up and kind of keep the actual circle, the low, the upper low, from coming in. It will do, but it just grazes by the far south. That'll be wetter weather going in through the week. And then see how we get a big blob of pink sitting off the east. That's a cut-off upper ridge. Again, warm air, keeping the weather systems from coming through. And you think, okay, what does that all mean? Well, this is how it looks over the week. High pressure sitting to the east. And remember, we've had a high over the North Island. That brought the fine looking weekend further north. There's the low, and that's trying to come in, but it's got high pressure squeezing it, so it can only go one direction. So in other words, watch the areas of blue through the course of the week. Wet weather starting to become a bit more ragged. So it comes in west of the South Island and through the North Island, through Monday, through Tuesday. Showers. Next surge of wet weather then comes in as the high sneaks through and becomes a northerly flow. So by the week, we will get some more spells of wet weather, but there's a lot of high pressure. And with that high, you get a low-level easterly flow helping to juice things up over the southwest Pacific. Could start to see the tropics come to life. Maybe a tropical low somewhere, perhaps near New Caledonia, west of Fiji. Maybe a cyclone, way too early to say, but it just gives an indication there could be perhaps the first signs of stuff going on there. But let's get into things for us Monday. Low to the west, patchy rain, upper South Island and the south and west of the North Island. Everywhere else you've got some cloud, high pressure there, high pressure there. Not warm, but probably low 20s for a lot of us. In between, you've got your wet weather. Central New Zealand again for Tuesday, wet weather. Places like Nelson, Westport to perhaps Taranaki and Wellington, raincoat day. Few showers getting towards Auckland, high, still keeping that low from coming through, remember, and the other one is squeezing in. We have a little surge of energy slide through the North Island, so Wednesday's a showery day. High pressure sneaking in, putting us all into a northeast flow. That means it's cooler to the east of the South Island. No, probably 30s this week, but there'll still be some mid to upper 20s. But with an easterly flow to eastern areas, that will keep you pinned back down upper teens to maybe around 20. So there will be showers. This is Thursday over the North Island. Then we've got more coming in. That's still that low. It's still sitting there to the west. It hasn't come through. Remember, because of the blocking high, that's a feed to the subtropics. That's some moisture coming in. That could get into that system and then crank up the northerly with a more persistent area of wet weather to the west of the South Island for Friday. You say, well, That's a bit rubbish. Yeah, there'll be some showers this week. There'll be a lot of dry weather too, particularly eastern and southern areas. Big high, that's the plan. It's really lots of high pressure, but with a humid northerly flow to set in. And I mentioned the subtropics. Could be a tropical low up to the north. We keep a high, another high there. In between that zone, there could be some wet weather. But this is probably going to change because you know how the weather systems move about over the course of the week. Keep your raincoat handy. West of the South Island, that looks to be the wettest place. This is the first batch of rain and more. That's again over 100 millimeters. Probably the driest places like Auckland and maybe the east coast you can see and the far south. But overall, through the week, it's going to be very humid. There'll be some wet weather about too, but for many, it'll be otherwise dry. That's the weather for now.